This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so good morning team. In today's session we will talk about how to build, how to implement or how to develop ingestion framework pipeline. Okay, so let's say now I'll give you multiple requirements. Tell me how you will design a pipeline. Okay, the first one is I want to copy data from ADLS Gen 2. Okay, so I want to copy data from ADLS Gen 2 staging 2 staging 2, let's say ADL agent to staging 2 blob storage maybe ADL agent to input to blob storage input runtime. Similarly, I have a requirement where I want to move data from blob input to blob storage output. I have a requirement where blob input 1 to output 1, and this I wanted to run every hour, and this I want to run every day, and this is, let's say, run every day. Okay, next, ADLS Gen 2 input to SQL database table, I want to copy it. Okay, so like this, maybe I have lot of requirements. Okay, runs every day. How you will design a pipeline for all these requirements? Generally, in how many pipelines you will develop all these requirements? How many pipelines you need to develop all this? Let's say this is a given to a one of the developer 1 is working on this, developer 2 is working on this, developer 3 is working on this, so developer 4 is working on this. Generally, what you will do? So all these people are working. So what you will do, Tim, when all these 4 different people are working on the 4 different requirements? What you generally do? How you will design with the current knowledge? You need to tell me how many pipelines you will do, how you will design the pipeline. Tell me, Tim. We don't have time. Something you just throw some inputs. I'll tell
Take
whether
a
it is
pipeline.
correct or not.
We'll take one pipeline, add a trigger for every day. That is like scheduled trigger every day, every hour, and every day. When it comes to as like we have for blob and all, I think one pipeline would be fine because source and
Okay.
it's getting changed every time. Different
Okay. So yeah.
source
Okay.
and
Fine.
sync are changing. Yeah.
So that's why I called it as an ingestion framework pipeline. Ingestion framework means we wanted to create a single pipeline. Okay, we want to create a single pipeline where people can come and say any requirement, and the all common requirements I want to keep it in a single pipeline. It is not recommended to keep it in a single pipeline. Maybe you can use some execute pipeline activity to call the other pipelines to like call, right? But here I am just putting everything in a single pipeline. But in real time, how we developed the framework is we will have a ADLS to the blob to ADLS, blob to blob, ADLS to SQL DB. We have a different sub pipelines. So from the main framework pipeline we will be calling the sub pipelines, but that I'll explain to you. What I'm trying to tell you is all these requirements, I'll also add a new requirements based on our time. So, but all the multiple requirements I can do it in a single pipeline. All these developers can able to use my single pipelines to achieve all their tasks. Okay, how they can able to do? I'll explain to you. So first what we need is we need a SQL database, we need a blob storage, we need ADLS Gen 2. So I'll be taking a ADF now because anything you can take, but let me take it as a Azure Data Factory. First, let me create all the resources and I'll explain to you. So we just have to have a SQL database with the within the SQL database. I'll maintain a one control table, or you can say process table. Okay, so this process table will take care of all the requirements, and process table will be able to this pipeline is going to read the details from the process table, and based on what you wanted to do, this pipeline will understand and do that particular things. Okay, so everything you'll come to know. First, let me complete the resource creations. Go to SQL database, click on create SQL database. Load Pandit SQL DB server is Cloud Pandit and DevWife and SQL. So you can just use SQL authentication. This is the username. This is the password. Okay. Click OK. So after creating the database password, let's go and choose the database size, configure storage. So you know already, that's why I'm going a bit fast. Standard, budget friendly. Click apply, click review plus create. Click. Maybe let's put some sample tables. Click review plus create. Click create. Now come to second tab. Now what I'll be doing, I'll be creating a one blob storage. Let's create a blob storage now. Okay, go to next tab. Let's create ADL Gen 2. Create storage accounts. Create Cloud Pandit -dev MSS ADLS service. Click next. Enable hierarchical namespace. Click review plus create. Create it. Fourth one is this is a SQL database, this is a blob, this is a data lake, and finally you are going to create a data factory. But you can do the same lab even in the Synapse. I hope you can able to do if I explain in the ADF. Create it. Okay, let's make the requirements are very clear. ADL Gen 2, I'll create an input folder. That data I want to load it into the blob storage input. And next one is I have a blob storage input. Whatever blob storage input I have, maybe if you put the dependency again, that will you will have a confusion. That's why I'll say blob storage staging folder I'll create. From the blob storage staging to within the same blob storage there is the output folder. I want to move the data. Maybe output blob storage branch folder I'll create. From staging to branch within the same blob I want to move. Again, from the blob, I want to take the data from, let's say, something called raw folder. From the blob raw folder, I want to take the data. I want to copy data into the SQL database. In SQL database, table name, I want to give it as a uh, raw. Instead of raw, let's say this is an employee data folder. And so that I can give dbo.temp is the table name I want to load. In ADL Gen 2, I have a credit data folder. From the credit data folder, I want to read data and I want to create a dbo.credit credit is the folder. Okay, because you can do lot of things. Maybe if I give this much example, you will be able to do lot of things you can able to do. Go to resource. Now launch ADF. Okay, so all the things are ready. So first let's go with the first requirement. What is our first requirement? ADL Gen 2 input to blob storage input. We want to copy data. So this is the ADL Gen 2. First let me take ADL Gen 2. Go to the containers. So I'm creating an input container here and create it. Go inside input. Let's upload some credit.csv files. Some credit dot upload this. So from the input container, you have the some files, and you are trying to copy these files to the blob storage input. But do I need to create a blob storage at input container? No, it will be created automatically. Next. So now I need to go to blob and create a staging container. Okay, now go to blob storage. Now you want to create a staging container. Within staging container, let's upload some data. Within the staging container, maybe I'll be putting some department data. Okay. Next, what you wanted to do, next what we need to do, we also, yeah, so this second requirement is completed, because blob storage branch folder will be created automatically. We need to create a emp data folder and upload the data. Emp data folder we need to create and upload the employee data. So you just have to follow the requirement stream. It will be very confusing because I'm not taking a very complicated things. I'm simplifying a lot of the things for you to understand. Okay. So this is the employee data. Now you need to take ADL Gen 2 credit data. ADL Gen 2 credit data folder. Now go to ADL Gen 2 again. Because all sources are data, like instead of that, maybe we will do reverse. SQL DB2. Okay. SQL DB2. ADLS Gen 2 we want to copy, and here we also have already sales LT dot customer table, so that I want to load it into the ADLS Gen 2 global slash India slash landing slash customer, and then I want to create a year, month, day folder. So all these things is okay. So we want to create this folder structure and we want to load the data in AD Legend. Okay, these are the, I think almost we are covering the common requirements. But you can add the multiple requirements to the same pipeline, which can able to handle it. You will come to know that. Now everybody is clear for these four requirements. Whatever is required, we did it. If you go to SQL database, let me also show you the sales LT table. Go to server firewall. Select networks, Hello Edu services. You can come here and say what is my IP address. Take this IP. Microsoft is really sleeping or what? Since 1 month we are seeing same issue, they are not resolving. These people are not updating. Okay.
Look,
So now it is added. Come back. Now click on the query editor here. Maybe I recommend you to not to connect here. You can just connect to this database from the data studio. You know already data studio, right? Take the server name because it is easy for us to analyze the things. Click on this new connection. Put that server name. SQL login. Let me enter my username, password. Database is cloud with SQL DB. You can put that here. Click on it. Okay, good. We are able to connect now. If we expand the tables here, you can see a lot of tables are there, right? You are able to see the sales LT customer table as well. Sales LT customer. Okay, fine. Now we are good with the sources are ready. Now only thing that we wanted to do is we want to create our own table called create a table pipeline process table. I wanted to create. In this pipeline process table, I will be giving pipeline ID as an int, pipeline process name varchar of 255, and then pipeline params, okay, parameters, whatever you need you can give. So this can be as length as it can be. So 8,000 characters I'll take because it should be lengthy, because any number of parameters you can able to give here. And finally, is it active record or not, in you can put it like this. That's it, Tim. These are the only things you need to have. Now insert into pipeline underscore process table values or pipeline ID. Let's say 1 because this is my first pipeline. I'll be giving it as a 1. My pipeline process is, what is your first requirement? ADLS Gen 2 to blob. So I can give you a ADLS Gen 2 to blob. My requirement is ADLS Gen 2 to blob. Maybe 2 if you want to add in between, you can just add the 2 also. ADLS Gen 2 to blob is my first requirement. What all parameters that I want to give? I want to give them as here. So what is my first? I'll say source container colon. What is your source container here? Input. So give here as an input, comma. So sync is a blob, right? So you can give here sync container is, what is your sync container thing? Sync container is also input. But instead of input, if you want to load this input data into somewhere, you can also create that folder structure here. No restrictions. Okay. It is a active record. Yes, it is a active record. That's all. First requirement is done. You are completed. Second requirement you need to add. Third requirement, fourth requirement you need to add similarly. Now second requirement means second pipeline. Third pipeline ID is unique because so each ID will indicate your pipeline. Now what is second requirement? From blob storage stage, blob to blob, first thing you need to correct the process name. Process is blob to blob. I want to copy data. So source container is staging, and sync container is branch. Maybe not only branch, limited to the branch. I'll say under branch. So this is some kind of a CSV data. So some subfolder also I am creating. I can give it like this. Okay. Clear, team? Next. Your third requirement is from blob to SQL database. So you have to correct the process name is blob to SQL DB. So blob is what, team here? Blob is employee data is your container. So source container is this one. Sync databases. So you have to give two things here. Sync schema, which is a DBO. Next, sync table is, what is the table name I am trying to give? EMP. That's it. The fourth requirement is SQL database to ADL Gen 2. So the requirement is now the process name is SQL DB2, SQL DB2, ADLS Gen 2. Okay. So what is your source schema? So let's give here as a instead of source container, source schema. Source schema is a DB, oh, sorry, sales LT, comma. Source table is what in customer, and sync container is, this is entire path, you can keep it till here. Because I want to load data into this. Clear, all of you? So once you have given all these things, maybe if you have some other pipelines which are inactive, you can put it, but we don't have that much time. So let's not put inactive records and all these are active records. We are good. Are we all good till here? We are good, right, team, till here?
Yes, madam.
Now what you need to do, you need to just go to pipeline now. First let's go to manage tab. Let's create a linked services. How many linked services we need? We need a linked service for SQL database. First thing, let's create a linked service for ls for SQL DB. Legacy subscription is this, server name is this, database name is this, username is this, create it. Okay, now create a linked service for blob also. Let's create a ADL Gen 2 linked service. Subscription is this, storage account is ADLS. REST connection, create it. Okay, now you have all the things. Now come to author tab. First let's create a pipeline. Okay, so this pipeline is basically PL for data ingestion. Okay. Within this, I want to create a first one pipeline ID, pipeline underscore ID, which should be integer. Okay. Now what we want to do with this is, I want to just use a script activity. Let's say there are different requirements. Let's say you are from a developer one, you want to run your pipeline. What is your pipeline ID? One. So what you will do when you are triggering, when you are debugging, you want to, sorry, first it is asking script activity. Normally if you say debug, if you want to do, let's say, just to show you, Tim, I'll remove that. That's a debug. So it is asking pipeline ID. When you have given one and click OK, it will be run it for the pipeline one. Okay. Now what I want to do is, I want to use now script activity. Now let me use the script activity. Within the script activity, so this is a SQL DB linked service. Now I want to fire a one query. What is that query? You can see here, this is a pipeline ID team. Okay, okay, parameter pipeline ID. So the type is, what type it is? Integer.
Int.
So value is going to come dynamically through the pipeline parameter. Okay, So direction is, it is input. So we are giving input. So what is the query? Select star from TBL config where pipeline underscore ID. You need to put it like this. Where pipeline ID equal to 1. So this here itself directly you can put it at the rate param for pipeline ID. That's it. I think you need to use it like this. It's okay. But let's debug now. See, whatever value I will be giving to the pipeline parameter, that will be passed to the param pipeline ID, that will be passing to this query. Just at the rate you can give you. Okay. Now click OK. Now debug this. So let's say I am giving 1. So what is the output it is giving? Let's see. TBL config is not there. What is the table name we have given? Oh, pipeline process. Sorry. It is a pipeline process. Our table name is pipeline process. Click OK, click debug. Click 1, click OK. Just a minute, I'll be back. Okay, now you see the output team here. In this output, we got a pipeline ID, pipeline process name, pipeline parameters. So now what you need to do, you copy this and keep it here. I'll tell you how you can able to access these things. I'll tell you how you can able to access these things. Now what you need to do, come here. So for each you don't require for each, because at any time we will be passing only one. So directly you can use a switch activity. Okay, because only one pipeline, one entry will come always. So directly you can use a switch activity. So within the switch activity, now you need to check what is the process name. How to get the process name? So when you click a script activity dot output, so on the output you have a result sets. So result set is a square. Square bracket means it is a array. So within this result set, we need a first element. What you need to do? Result sets of output
0.
dot result set of 0 dot. So within this, you got this entire item. Within this, I want a rows. So again, I am giving a dot rows. Within the rows, again rows is a array. So within this, which one you want? Again 0th, because this is the first item. So again, you need a 0th dot. So what you want? Pipeline process name. So you give the key, it will tell you pipeline process. Okay, click OK. That's it. You have given a pipeline process. Now, when you have given a pipeline ID as a 1, pipeline ID as a 1, what is the pipeline process name? What is the pipeline process name?
Gen2 block.
ADL Gen2 block. You take the same name, you keep it as a one case. So whenever this case is matched, you go inside this case, you can add a copy activity here. You can add a copy activity here. What this copy activity should do? It is the requirement is ADL Gen2 blob. So now you can come here. click on new data set for ADL Gen 2 is a source as a CSV. Okay, DS for ADLS Gen 2. You can also put some file formats, multiple things you can do it. Okay, but for now I am just taking as a CSV. Now everything should be parameterized it. Okay, ADLS Gen 2 dataset. I'm opening this. So I'm just saying here it is a DS param for um, folder path. Okay, just come here, give the folder path here. That's it. That's it. Come here. So now you need to pass the folder path. So from where you need to read the data, you see from input container, we want to read the data. So for this, what you need to do, first you take a pipeline params. So how to get the pipeline parameters? You can click on this. Again, same thing. Script activity dot output dot result sets of 0 dot rows of 0 dot pipeline params. So pipeline param is a what team? It is a JSON team. This is a key value pair. It is a JSON. So that's why now this one I need to convert into the JSON. Once I convert this into the JSON, now I have a key value. Key value. So what I want a key. That is a source container I need. The source container I am giving. That's it. Now this will give you the source side input value. So I'm just putting this same formula here because this can be reused. Got it, team? Now you can see activity output dot result set of 0 dot rows of 0 dot pipeline params I have given. So this I converted into the JSON. On the JSON now I have a key value pair. Key value. Maybe if you want to do it in some other way, I mean to say, 1 second, drop table pipeline process. Because source is input, sync container is also input, it will be a problem for you. So do one thing, sync you can say that sync container, you can say that what you can do, you can just say, is there any output? Output is not there, right? Yeah. So maybe from input you read data and put it in the output. Now I am reinserting because I dropped the table. I am recreating. Now what happens? Only this is the only one change we did. Instead of here also input, we added a output. This is just our learning. That's why I dropped the table. In real time, you should not drop it. You have to just update that particular record. Okay. Now, are we good, team, till here? Now click OK. Yes. So as we are pointing to the folder, you can use a wildcard file option, team, star, to read all the data. Tell me.
Yeah, please finish, Malam. I have one use case I will discuss last.
So come to sync now. So sync is what, team? Sync is a blob. So you can take a blob storage. MCS. So I'm taking DS for blob. Linked service is this. Now click OK. So here also the sync container also should be parameterized. Open this data set, create a parameter DS param for folder path. You can give here also. Come to connection. Here you need to select the folder. That's it. Now come here. So here also we need to give, but here we just have to change what formula. We just have to change, instead of source container, here we need to put a sync container and a close.
Container.
Give it here. Now click OK. Okay. Clear, team? So the first requirement is completed. Our first requirement is completed, team. Switch condition is completed. The second case for me is I want to copy data from, what is our second requirement? So blob to blob, blob to blob. So let's say blob to blob means the process name is this. You copy this, blob to blob. Because if you give pipeline ID 2 is, your process will become a blob to blob. If it is a blob to blob, go inside here. you just go to second case inside here. You just have to use a copy data, and as we are, see, basically linker service, everything also can be parameterized. You can connect to the different blobs, but as we have same blob today, so I'll be just using the same blob. Okay, and same blob I am using. What is the source container team? Here what you need to do is, see, source container and sink container only. So here what you can do is, I just have to give it is a source container. Correct? Are
And
you
the
all
value
getting
1,
team?
right? Result sets 1 dot rows 1.
Rows 1. Why rows 1?
It will,
Always it is 0 only. The reason is,
oh,
it is, you will be running a pipeline with one ID, right? Pipeline ID 2, you will
okay,
run
we are
your
doing it
pipeline with
manually.
pipeline ID 2,
Got
you will get only one entry.
got
You are not
Okay, we
entering
are doing
manually, you will
manually.
schedule it at different timings, because as a developer one, your pipeline want to run at 8 a.m. Another developer pipeline want to run at 10 a.m. So each and every requirement is different, but everything we are fulfilling in a same pipeline.
Got it.
Everybody understood it?
Now I got it.
It is,
Yeah.
I know, little bit difficult only, but these are the real time scenarios. Okay, so try to understand it. So I'm just putting the formula here, and same blob data set I can able to use, and I can put it here. As the source is pointing to the folder, I need to give the wildcard file option. That's it. So this is also completed. Maybe make sure that copy activity name, you can also put copy from blob to blob, something like this, so that we know which copy activity is running. So if you go to first one, this is basically for copy data from ADLS Gen 2 to blob. Okay, fine. What is our third requirement? Third use cases. Third use cases. Let's say maybe blob to, yeah, blob to SQL DB now, right? Blob to SQL DB. So take the process name blob to SQL DB. Now click on this. Click on the third case. Add the copy data activity. Copy data from copy from SQL blob to SQL DB, right? Blob to
Blob to
SQL DB. So blob, you know already, this is the same blob data set we wanted to use. And here, if you see, we want to pass a source container. Source container, how you can pass? Same formula. You need to copy and you need to put the same formula. As you are pointing to the folder, you need to use a wildcard file option. Now what about sync? Sync is a database. Click on new SQL database. See, reusing of the same data set also, now you can learn it here how I am reusing. Okay, so you should not hard put the any table name. Now you can open this, create two parameters, ds param for schema, ds param for table name. So where we need to select this, come to connections, enter manually, schema is here, table we need to select it. Okay, once this is completed, come back. Now you need to give here. So here what you need to do, so you see here you have a sync schema, sync table. That's why here you need to replace only sync schema.
one more is sync table.
Here you have to replace as a
Sync table.
sync table. This is also completed. Now our fourth requirement, you have is SQL DB to ADL Gen 2. Open this. This is a framework. Okay, so now you just bring the copy data from SQL DB to ADLS Gen 2. So source is what? Source is SQL DB. You have to pass the table name. So table name and all we configured within the parameters. Nothing you have to hard code. Okay, you have to put here. Oh shit! You take this. So it is not a sync schema, it is a source schema, correct? You can see here if you have any doubt, it is a source schema, source table. It is a source schema, you can click OK. It should be a source table. Okay. After that, come to sync. Sync is ADL Gen 2, you can use this. And here you just have to give it only one formula, that is instead of source schema or source table, you have to give the sync container. That's it. Now my pipeline is completed. Now tell me, so now I'll be adding a something new. Now the requirements are like this. Now you tell me, can we do this or not? Insert into pipeline process value. Now let's say fifth requirement, SQL DB to ADLS Gen 2. Okay. Maybe you take same record, only change the pipeline ID. So as part of the pipeline ID, user wanted to SQL DB to ADL Gen 2 source schema, source table, sync container. So user wanted to copy data from sales LT product table. He wanted to copy to product. So do I need to do anything extra, team, to do this?
You need to add additional case in switch to check this condition.
Why we need
Or
to
else,
check? Because already it is there, no SQL DB to ADL Gen 2, it is there, so it can do it. Why you need extra? Correct.
oh, okay, same thing. Okay, fine.
Okay, let's
Only
say
tables.
you want to copy data from this one. Let's say some other requirement I am bringing. Now there is a requirement from blob to blob. There is a sixth ID. So new developer, new use case where you want to load data from. Maybe let's say the requirement in the blob is blob, right? There is output folder. From the output folder I want to get the data. Okay, dbo dot, it is a department data, so I want to create. Do I need to do anything
No,
extra?
nothing. You
So
can use
all
the
these
same.
requirements can be fulfilled. Now any requirement you take with these combinations, everything can be handled. Got it?
Right.
But we can take this into the very advanced level also, but I don't want to go very too much, you will not be able to understand. So till here I request you to practice it. So you are seeing, Tim, I am not sure, if you are not practicing our sessions you will not be able to understand anything. I am telling from day one, you need to practice. If you don't have time, don't join two courses. If you don't have time, don't join this batch also, I told many times. Because if you're not practicing means there is no use. This is not a theoretical session. Okay, fine. Now let's test our pipelines. Okay, now what I will be doing, now let's create a multiple triggers to run in a different timings. Okay, new slash edit trigger. Now I'm creating a trigger for daily to run my first pipeline. Daily I'll run it. Maybe daily, right? Daily means every day. I want to run it 8 o'clock 25 minutes. I want to run. It is a daily trigger. Okay, specify an end date. No, every day 25, it let it run. There is no end date. Now pipeline it is one. First pipeline, our first pipeline is going to run at 8:25. Remember, okay, you may forget, I'll note down. Pipeline ID 1 is scheduled at 8:40, sorry, 8:25, right?
Right.
8:25 or 45? 8:25. Okay, good.
820.
Now let's create a weekly trigger, a new slash edit trigger, weekly trigger. Trigger for weekly trigger. Every week I want to run a pipeline. Every week. Today is which day? Today is Friday, right? Today is Friday. Every Friday I want to run pipeline at 8 o'clock. Okay, 8 o'clock 27 minutes. Click OK. So this is a pipeline ID 2. 827 I want to run pipeline ID 2. Next click create new/edit trigger. Now I want to go with the hourly trigger. Trigger for hourly. Now I want to run pipeline every day at every hour. Every hour means it is now if I scheduled at 2:59, sorry 2:58 if I schedule 2:58 if I schedule 3:58, 4:58, 7:58, 8:58, like every hour 8:58. Sorry, 8:58 we don't, right? We want 8 to, this is 8:28.
28. You can check.
As if I give 8:28, then it will run it for, maybe let it give it as a 2:27, 8:27, two pipelines will run, meaning same pipeline will start two times. Okay, every hour means 2:27, 3:27, 3:27, like that. Every hour it is going to create it. So this we will give it as a 3. Okay. Now fourth trigger, new/edit trigger. So let's say that is a monthly trigger. Trigger monthly. Tell me, team. Today is which day, team? Every month. Today is what is the day? 9th, right? Every month 9th I want to run the pipeline. Every month 9th I want to run pipeline at 8 o'clock 26 minutes. Okay. Click OK. This is a fourth trigger. Click OK. Now you publish all these things.
Now I was like, a doubt I have. I was like saying that, Malay, it's like, who will provide that input value? Now I got it. Trigger is going to provide the input value. Okay.
Yes. Because we will be scheduling in the prod, right? Different user, like a different use case. Because maybe same requirement blob to blob, some of the files you may want to copy daily, some files you want to copy weekly. So you can just create under a different pipeline ID and put them, put those folder, and you can schedule them.
Okay. I was thinking another way, like keeping a counter increasing one. That's where I thought like array and all. Yeah, now I got it.
No. We won't do that. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You understood it. Yeah. That is fine. If you understood now, it is good.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Let's go to monitor and see at 8:25 we scheduled one pipeline, right? This is the first time failed. If you need to go to triggered, because we scheduled everything to run it like this. (8:25) we scheduled any pipeline? Yes. Daily trigger we scheduled to run it every day. Now if you look at script activity succeeded, switch activities completed. Now as the first requirement is what, team? To copy data from ADL Gen2 to blob only, right? I think. Yes. Now let's see. Yes, it is succeeded. Okay, it is succeeded. You can see the process is ADL agent to blob, and it picked and it ran successful. Now let's see at 8:26 what will happen. And what is the first requirement? To copy data from blob, right? Blob in output folder, I think. Input to output. See, output folder created at 8:25, 25. Now come to the 8:26 now. Monthly trigger. Monthly trigger, what it should do? You can also see what is the pipeline which is running here. Pipeline 4 is running here. Monthly trigger now. Pipeline 4 requirement is to copy data from SQL DB to ADLS Gen 2. What it has to copy? SQL DB to ADLS Gen 2. The table should be, yeah, SQL DB to ADLS Gen 2. The table data should be copied into ADLS Gen 2. Let's see whether the product folder, I think there is a structure is created: global, India, landing, and customer, sales ltd or customer. Oh, sorry, it is a customer team, fourth ID. Okay, so all the customer data is loaded. You can see here 847 rows will be there here. Okay, yes, first row is the header 848. Okay, so this is also completed. Is there any pipeline which we scheduled at 827 team? 827 also something is scheduled. See, 827 two pipelines are scheduled, meaning same pipeline scheduled with the different IDs. There is a second ID is running, and at the same time third ID is also running. Correct? So what is second and third IDs? So one is to copy data from, I did not remember. One is blob to blob, one is blob to SQL DB. So blob to blob, first let's see, blob to blob. The blob to blob, blob to blob means what is the output here? Sync side branch slash CSV data. Branch to branch. I think it was not succeeded at, either it is not succeeded or it got failed. We will see why it got failed. But let's see other pipeline, which is a pipeline ID 2. Pipeline ID 2 is succeeded. Pipeline ID 2 is blob to blob. So blob to blob is staging to branch slash CSV data. Sync container is branch is created here. No. Why it is not showing here? One minute. The last 2 are blob to blob staging branch slash CSV data. Staging, it should pick this data, it should create a branch and load the data, but why it is not done like that? Let's go and look at this. But this is very clear. The fourth one is failed. Why fourth one is failed? Can you guess it? Table is not existed, and we have not enabled the auto scaling. Auto create table.
Auto insert.
Yeah, that's a problem. Branch slash CSV data is fine. Staging sources in container. What? Okay, let's look at is there any configuration issue? We did blob to blob. Let's look at, I think something configuration issue only might be. Blob to blob, you go inside blob to blob, look at this copy activity, what might happen. Source container you have given at the source side. Sync side also you have given a source container. That's why the problem. Okay, here you need to give a sync container. Got it? Similarly, in the other requirement where you have your blob to SQL DB, right? SQL DB side. So EMP table you have mentioned, but the table is not there. You need to do a auto create. Now, maybe you can just, if you want to publish, you can publish, and I'll also tell you how you can able to run the pipeline. So manually also you can able to trigger. No need to schedule once again. You can simply tell me.
Malay, in that case, if source and sync are both are same, just it will copy the files and paste it in the same location, right? In that. Okay.
Yes. Okay, now I ran it for the pipeline ID 2. Let's see the branch slash CSV data folder should create. See here we did a source container, sink container. We have not given source and sink side, both side we have given source container only. That's why it copied from same folder to same folder. But you can see now I am rerunning for the same. It should get succeed by now. It should also create the bronze slash CSV data. See, bronze slash CSV data subfolder also created, and data is copied from where, blob to blob, from staging. You can see at 8:27 these files are updated earlier also, in earlier run also. Okay, fine. Next thing is, finally we want to run the pipeline for pipeline ID 3. Pipeline ID 3 also I want to run now. So this also should get succeeded this time, and we should be able to see a employee table in this. Okay, very soon you will see. You can see your pipeline is running with the pipeline ID 3. Now I have shown you, you can add as many requirements as you want, but same pipeline can able to fulfill all of them, isn't it? And you are already aware of capturing the logs and scheduling in a dependent, multi-dependency jobs and all. So all the scenarios you can alert mechanism, okay, keyword for the security while creating linked service. So everything you can add, because we can't cover everything in a day one. We just covering one by one. Okay. Oh, again it got failed. We want to understand the column. Column EMP ID is not found. Okay, I understood where what is the problem. So the problem is because uh, EMP data, right? You are trying to load the data into the EMP table, but source is a container. When source container is a EMP data, and it is having a multiple files with a different schema. Okay, multiple files with a different schema. Let me show you, because if you have multiple files with a different schema, this is a problem, right? So for example, you see here you have EID, employee first name, last name, E location. So this employee 2.csv might have the different data. Okay, see different data. So that's why, as you know, whenever you are loading data from particular folder or file, the same schema is a load. So that's why what I'll do is I'll just remove these two. I'll just remove this. I'll keep only the employee2.csv file. You know how to get the auditing information also, right? So what is the source name, what is the file name, or load date, additional columns also you can able to add it. Now I'm rerunning the pipeline 3 again. Pipeline now, pipeline ID is 3. I am clicking OK. I'll come to monitor tab, refresh it, team. Now again it failed, right? Now it should succeed. Yeah, what is happening every time? It is saying like that. One second, it is pointing to the EMP data only, right? EMP data folder only. In the EMP data folder, I corrected this employee ID, employee name, employee designation, contact number, and location. We have data also proper. Why it is failing now? It is surprising for me. Let's
It might
look
have
at
created
this.
table name with employee one file structure, I think.
Let's look at that. Okay.
Maybe first was enter, check
Yeah.
that one.
That's correct. Maybe source side first is header, we set it. Okay, this is not an issue. Param folder is also fine. Come to data ingestion. You are using wildcard file option. Sync is you are passing sync schema. Sync table. Okay. Insert auto create table. Welcomes. Okay. Come to mappings. No mapping is created. Okay. Go insert this data set. Go to schema. Anything is there? Nothing. Okay. Did I publish it something? But I have not made any changes in this, right? Pipeline. Fine. So let's refresh and see once again. But there is no such type of problem here. Not even enabled this. Nothing is there. Let's see. Now trigger now. Pipeline ID is 3, right?
Right.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, it is not running. Surprisingly, it is failing. Some employee ID. Where is that employee ID? It is referring. So table is created by default or what? Yes, that's the problem. So table is already created. So now it is trying to load a different schema. So that's why the problem. Okay, drop table EMP, whatever table is already created with earlier schema, you need to drop at the sync side. Now you have to what you can do is you can go back. So whenever some pipeline is failed, right, you will have an option to rerun. You can also see the option to rerun team. Okay, you have an option rerun entire data or rerun from failed activity. Rerun from failed activity I'm doing. So that what happens, it is going to be started from the failed. See, script activity skipped because it is already succeeded earlier. Now only failed things is copy activity and switch. That's why it is started now. Okay, this way we can able to restart from the point of failures, or you can restart entire your pipeline. Okay, now it will succeed 100%. Yes, it is also succeeded. Now you should be able to see the data here. Select star from EMP. Now you can able to see data here. Okay, three records came. Okay, that's it team for today. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, we are going to have tomorrow and after tomorrow.
Yes,
Can we
we will
have
discuss.
2 days off for at least for
Oh, you are
practice?
asking off. I thought you were asking.
Yeah. No, no.
Yeah,
Because
fine team, because whoever is because whoever is
I'm
responding
just
to
thinking
the
from my
questions
end
and all,
actually.
we give your preference only, because remaining people anyhow they won't talk. At least whoever is talking, if you want a time to practice tomorrow and day after tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, I can give time. Okay, but if you want class also, I can take. Just tell me what do you want.
We
Tell
need
me
time
team,
to practice.
everybody. Only I'm hearing 1 or 2 people. Everybody please
At least
confirm.
I see from this week it's bit complex scenarios where I see we need 2 days per practice. Malaya. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Then take time, team. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, I will not take any class. You can practice it. We will meet on Monday. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, team. Thank you all. Thank you.